welcome to my channel. I am Zodiac Bandit, and today we're going to be recapping episode 6 of The Age of Umbra. So, without further ado, let's get started. We start off by actually learning that Misty has a new scar after going unconscious in the last episode, and she failed the unconscious roll. So, her hope slots are now decreased by 1 permanently, but she deals more damage in return, which is probably a good thing for her. The party are now leaving the drowned sprawl. They are now at the base of the Ashcall Quarter. They see a mountain of crumbling stairways going up and sort of surrounding a bunch of different academies and other institutions as it moves up this little mountain here. At the top of this mountain is the University Fortress, the Celius Athenium, the location in which the pyre is located. A sole lone survivor in the darkness. A sacred pyre burns in one of its towers, and its promise of safety if they can make it there. Misty takes out the fabric that she found in the last episode. It dries out rather easily. It seems rather hydrophobic. It is a piece of quilted armor, and it has a symbol of a god on it, which is why it was hidden during the riots. The symbol of the god is of Tyrus, and it's the Tyrus soft armor. Brixton knows Tyrus was a veiled god. Adelia notes that she might know something about him from her lessons, but Brixton rolls her knowledge check and gets a 14 with hope. Tyrus is a god known for protection of family and hearth, the swallower of the dark that would threaten safe spaces. It seems that most of the gods had an appearance of something negative that had something to do to reflect their domain. Tyrus was a dark shadow of a being, but was the bastion that held the shadows at bay. Brixton thinks that this is a good omen, and Misty wonders if it would be a bad thing to wear. It's hard to tell what people would think in this age and in this area specifically. Misty puts it on. Thank God she has a lot better armor now because she needs it. The party want to take a short rest here while she puts it on. Screeve is going to be looking for a safe place, and he rolls his instinct check. Snicks notes that Misty looks different now, and Ashley explains that Misty has now lost one of her wings after one of the combats they had, and she went unconscious. The top left one specifically is gone. Misty asks what happened to Snicks' horn, and Snicks just says life. Screeve rolls a 20 on his instinct check with fear. They find a overhang from the Ashcall Quarter going into the drowned sprawl, and they hide underneath that. They can hear a creature above them moving somewhere, but they can't tell where. They do get their short rest, and they do short rest stuff. Screeve takes watch for the lurking darkness and rolls a 9, and he'll take his roll. Matt rolled a 7, so good for them. They chose the right one. They look over the drowned sprawl and see the blue lights floating around. Suddenly there's a loud boom above. Heavy footfalls patrolling the area above them. Matt gains a fear. Snicks wonders if they should go to the Athenium or not. Adelia notes that there are a lot of monsters around it, but Matt says that the path they need to take, if they're going through this section, like they've said before, actually goes through the Athenium, so they kind of have to go that way. They step out, ready to start traveling, and Matt puts out 2 counters, a progress counter and a consequence counter. As they move, their successes will improve the progress counter, and as they fail, the consequence counter will go up. Adelia says that she can lead. She's very good at avoiding monsters. She looks at the staircase before them and sees the many platforms of the Ashcall Quarter above them. Idle looks to see if the streets are empty, like any people are about. They both roll instinct, 13 with hope from Idle and a 15 with fear from Adelia. She looks for a safe path as they move. She sees collapsed staircases with devils at the top of it, and she chooses to avoid those staircases. Eventually they come to an open region that's pretty large. It seems to be a large open platform that may have been used for events and other sort of celebrations in the past, but is now broken and destroyed. They're in this open area and they don't see anybody at the moment, so they charge through it to try to sort of get through as fast as possible. At some point they have to jump and take cover to make sure that no one is watching. Idle runs into a broken gazebo, and a couple of birds fly off, sounding off to maybe others that something has been moving in the area. Idle tells the rest that they may have been spotted. Snicks asks Brixton if there's any gods that they can pray to for protection, and she notes that they actually found his armor earlier, Tyrus. She finds comfort in his shadow these days. Suddenly, Idle falls through the floor of the gazebo that they're standing in, landing on a platform below. As Adelia watches him fall, she feels anxiety come over him, and she loses a hope. She remembers the sound above her when she was hiding, trying to escape her home. She was scared of whatever was above her and that something would find her. She doesn't know how long she was in there and how long she hid before Strahd found her down there. Idol is 20 feet down now. The party noticed that Adelia is shaking a little bit. Brixton asks if she wants to pray, and Adelia does give out a pray. She says, good night, sleep tight, don't let the bedbugs bite. Misty asks what if they do bite, and Adelia says that hopefully they eat me quickly. August flies down to Idol, and they look around for some sort of, any like tunnels or anything down here at all. It is mostly collapsed, however, when they look around. Adelia asks Strahd if they should be taking the tunnels. Strahd says that the tunnels are to the east of here, and they might lead to the university, but they're not too sure. Idol looks for any more tunnels down here in this space, but they're fairly certain that there aren't any down here. This seems to be a solely collapsed area of itself, nothing else connecting to it. The two of them fly back up. Snyx asks if Idol should pray, and Idol makes a, joking pray, just sort of making fun of the idea. And Matt uses a fear to mark a stress on him. It seems that the shadows in the area either enjoyed his prayer or the gods in the area weren't very happy with the way he disrespected them. August flies into the air to sort of lead the way and get a better look of things. He sees the many stairs and platforms of this quarter. He rolls instinct at disadvantage because Matt marks a stress and uses a fear. He rolls a 4 with fear. Matt suddenly takes the counters away. August sees the switchbacks and in the paths of these many platforms going up this portion of the city. This was a place of learning with many institutes here. He follows the path with his eyes that eventually would lead to the Athenium, and there is an archway they have to pass through to get there. As they get to the large archway, a large shadow steps out of it. It gives out a groan, and as it steps out, its footsteps make a loud boom. It has blue skin, stretched shoulders, and a cage around its head, a chain hanging from one of its arms, and a cage that is open on the other arm. It lets out a cry, calling others to its location, and Matt goes and grabs a map. It blocks the archway, which is where the party need to go. Idol immediately runs up the stairs. He tries to move far range and crits on the agility roll. He then fires a bolt beacon at the creature, hitting and dealing 4 damage with hope. August then flies into the air towards some of the rocks closer to the monster. He shoots some magic out at it using his wand and hits with hope, dealing 7 damage. Matt spends a fear to spotlight the Gloom Tower Thrall. It's a slow creature, so it can't do anything on its first activation, so it gets a token placed on it, so on its second activation it can actually do something. Snyx uses a Conjure Swarm, and the bugs that appear around him protect him instead of going out to attack anything. He then hops up the staircase to be next to Idol. Adelia then tries to follow Snyx up, and she rolls an agility check and gets a 19 with fear. She gets up next to it, but the thrall then moves up and goes for Adelia and uses its Cage the Judge attack, and it attacks Adelia, hitting for 29 damage. Adelia uses Rune Ward and some armor to reduce the damage a bit. She is, however, then caught in the cage on its arm. Matt uses a fear, and they hear more footsteps. A gray hand suddenly appears around a corner, and a 25-foot tall demonic creature appears. It has vacant eye sockets. It has a jaw big enough to swallow them all, and its body opens up into an iron cage with souls inside trying to reach out. It has a whip in its hand made of bones, which is nasty, and this thing looks mean. Strahd then moves up and leaps at the cage that Adelia is in. Agility check 14 with fear. He's able to land on the cage, but because it's fear, Matt's turn. Matt puts a token on the thrall to make sure it gets activated later. He then spends a fear to activate the Terror Gut, as Matt calls this other creature that showed up. It steps forward and tries to devour Idol, spending a fear to do so. It hits Idol and deals 20 damage, and Idol needs to roll a strength check. He rolls a 19, so he is not devoured. The Terror Gut seems pissed because of this, but it has an ability that makes it so that anyone who's nearby him loses a hope and Matt gains a fear, which is nuts. Strahd uses pick and pull, an experience he has, to aid in picking the lock that is on the cage for Adelia. Finesse roll, he rolls a 15 with fear. He frees Adelia and they both land on the ground, but Matt gets to activate the thrall and uses its Cage the Judge ability on August, hitting August for 27 damage. August uses his armor to reduce the damage a bit. August is now caught in the cage. Matt spends a fear to activate the Terror Gut, which then swings its bone whip at Idol but misses. Brixton and Misty do a tag team attack. They want to make it look like the two creatures are sort of fighting each other. So Brixton is going to try to push the Thrall into the Terror Gut, and Misty's going to use an illusion to make it look like the Thrall flipped off the Terror Gut. Flipping the bird. They roll 19 with fear. Brixton slashes the Thrall for 19 damage, and due to its ability, it is not pushed, but instead it falls over. The illusion made by Misty does go off, and it makes it look like the Thrall flipped off the Terror Gut as it falls, but who knows if it worked or not. Matt puts a token on the Thrall to warm it up. The Terror Gut then releases a shambling zombie, and it pulls it from the cage inside of its body. It lands and then immediately swings for Snyx and misses because Snyx is a god. You can't hit Snyx. Screeve then slams his arms into the ground and uses Shadow Bind on the Thrall and hits with fear. The party now realize that each time they cast a spell with fear and it hits, or you just have fear in general with it, they lose a hope. This is the Curse of the Ashcall Quarter. Misty remembers a moment of fear from her past. Being in the tunnels, and she was attacked by a similar looking creature that they're fighting right now, and it killed her in her past life. The last thing she sees is her family screaming, standing next to a statue that they are bringing with them. Screeve recalls the Damask Queens torturing him, which is why he owns his pain now. He's fueled by it. It's his pain, not theirs. Matt then activates the Thrall and swings it. It swings for Adelia. It hits her for 24 damage, and it also does the same damage to August as August is in the cage. Adelia goes down. She is going to roll to risk it all, and her fear is higher than her hope. She rolled a 12 with fear, and she rolled a 10 with hope. This is a cruel world, but she has met some nice people, giving her some hope. She picks up Violet and hands her over to Screeve and asks him to keep her safe. She says, "I love you," to Screeve, and her last breath leaves her body as she is crushed under the cage. Adelia is dead. Matt then instantly spends a fear, and Adelia's body raises and becomes a shambling zombie. Fuck off. Misty uses Wild Flame on the Thrall. She hits a crit with it and deals 19 damage to the Thrall. Screeve then jumps into the shadows and comes out next to the Thrall and stabs at it. He hits, dealing 24 damage to the Thrall. August tries to pick the lock. He uses his experience to aid in that roll, and he rolls a finesse check and gets a 16, and he breaks out of the cage. He does this as a reaction, so there's no fear or hope. August, now free, then turns around and shoots an arcane barrage, dealing 1 damage to the Thrall. Snyx then leaps to the Thrall and stabs it with his boomerang. He rolls 15 with fear, with aid from Idol, hitting for 26 damage, killing the Thrall because everything has to die to Snyx. Yelling Adelia as he kills it, the Terror Gut then tries to devour Idol. Yet again, it hits, deals 20 damage, and Idol needs to roll a strength check. He rolls a 17 and is not devoured. Matt spends the fear to make a zombie attack Idol. It hits for 6 damage. Matt then uses fear to activate the Adelia zombie, and Laura controls this because, it would be more fun for her to be there still. She attacks Idol and hits for 2 damage. Screeve runs over to Adelia and tells her that they still have more games to play and casts Enrapture on her, but he fails. The Terror Gut is up. It looks at August and whips at him and hits for 20 damage. August is now down. He chooses to go out in a blaze of glory, yelling for everyone else to run. He uses Arcane Push and flies at the Terror Gut. It auto-crits, dealing 37 damage and pushes it back a far range. In this moment, he realizes that the mission that they are on is too important to fail. He gives himself up for the people of Desperlock. He knows that it's about the people, and they will do good long after he's gone. He says that he should have been gone long before now, but Misty gave him an extra bit of time, and he's grateful for that. He sends the Terror Gut flying down the stairs, August slamming into it, now unmoving. The party have some space to move now. Brixton grabs Misty, and they start to run towards the archway. They roll agility to see if they can make it a far range, and Misty rolls an 11 with fear. She's able to climb up to the next ledge, but this activates the next set of turns. Matt uses a fear to activate the zombies. Adelia then turns for Screeve and goes to bite him, hitting for 2 damage. Brixton then takes the hit for him. She tells Screeve that she's gone and they need to move. The other zombie misses Idol as it swings for him. Matt spends a fear to make the Terror Gut stand, and it walks forward a bit towards the party, and he whips out at Screeve, missing. Screeve then picks up Adelia, saying that they have to go back to the tunnels. Brixton runs up and swings for the zombie near Idol, hitting with fear for 25 damage, killing that zombie. Matt then activates Adelia, and Adelia bites Screeve for 2 damage. Matt spends a fear, and the Terror Gut moves forward yet again, whipping at Brixton, but it misses. Idol then runs for the archway. He sprints and tries to move a far range, and he rolls a 16 with fear on the agility check. Matt activates Adelia, but she misses her bite, making it very upsetting that this poor zombie girl is missing her bites in this close of range. Matt spends a fear to make the Terror Gut whip out at Idol yet again, and it hits for 21 damage. Matt spends a fear, and August becomes a zombie standing right next to Misty. August hits Misty for 7 damage, but Brixton takes the attack. Misty grabs August's face and kisses him on the forehead and says, "I'm sorry, I will set you free." She takes his top hat and uses Wild Flame on August, hitting with Hope for 5 damage, and she then starts moving towards the archway. Idol uses a tag team attack to help Snicks up to the same level that he's currently on and throw him towards the archway. While he's in the air, Snicks will turn and uses Scepter to blast Adelia with magic. They hit with Hope. Snicks is thrown through the archway. In midair, he turns and blasts Adelia for 10 damage. Screeve feels Adelia splat against him and watches as the soul blight leaves her body. Screeve then turns and looks at Snicks and then vanishes into the shadows below. Brixton tries to finish off August, hitting with fear, killing zombie August. She gives a prayer to Aratu, saying many will live thanks to his sacrifice today, and then they pick up his body because they want the armor that's on it, and she runs towards the archway. The Terror Gut whips at Idol, hitting for 14 damage, but Brixton takes the hit, and the 4 run through the archway. The Terror Gut has issues making it through itself, so they have some space here. As they go, Misty yells for Screeve, but there's no answer. They are now in the perimeter of the Athenium. Processing the losses they just took, they look up and see the pyre burning above. Laura, Talzin, and Liam all leave the table at the break. The sky is still dark in this area as they rush forward. They see many monsters have noticed them, and soldiers are beginning to react to movement as well. The Terror Gut burst through the archway and are chasing them. The party yell for help. The soldiers ask who they are and who they're helping. Misty changes her appearance to the woman that she made in the last episode, which looks like Laura. Brixton yells that they're from Desperlock, and she is a pirate keeper. She rolls a presence roll with the aid from Idol, giving her advantage. She yells that it's their duty to protect them, and she rolls a 27. She gets a bit of glow from Idol's aid, and the soldiers say that she has the gift and they need to let them in. They hear the gates open before them, and light begins to pour out of it. They rush through the doorway, and they hear arrows fly out behind them as the Terror Gut is being bombarded by arrows and boulders that is sent out towards it. The doors close behind them, and a loud thud can be heard as the Terror Gut slams into the door before walking off. It doesn't seem to be dead yet, this little bastard. They now stand with armored enduring at the door. They look very unkempt. They see wooden shacks, tents, and huts built into the floors, scaffolding, and ceiling of this old university. It seems like a settlement now. Glowing lanterns and symbols of faith all over the place. They see people of all ages cooking and wrapped up in blankets. They smell the smell of fresh food, and all eyes seem to be on them. A soldier runs up to them and says that she carries the gift, pointing at Brixton. He pulls his head back, and he pulls his hood back, and it is an elven man, and he has a handful of scars on his face. He seems to be about 30 years old. He says that it was lucky that they were able to help. The elf asks the party to stay here before they are given clearance to move about the city, just for the safety of other people. They have the upper half of August's body on Brixton as well, as she's carrying him. The bottom half of him was cut off by the whip that she blocked for Idol, which is why the people are also looking at them. The elf asks what happened, and the party say that they lost 2 of their friends, and one of them is currently missing. They don't know where he is. They ask for a place to put August properly, and the elf says that there is a courtyard. It's currently full, but they might be able to find some space for him in the catacombs. He's going to ask for them. Snyx asks for his name, and he is Sir Daring Thule. Darren Thule. I think it's either Thule or Thule. He will get the commander, likely the one who will send them on their way once they're rested and ready to go. The party explain why they're here and just mostly the important bits of their mission. Darren says that the winds are moving westward, but there is a chance that they'll shift eastward toward Desperlock. He's happy that they're so convincing, and now the city is able to help them. 50 civilians gather around them of all sorts of races, some from far, some from close. They can't tell exactly where everybody's from, but they seem to all be healthy. Idol looks for anyone who is angry about their appearance here. He rolls an instinct check and gets a 17 with fear. He sees most people's eyes are tense, but like they're waiting for something. He sees an old man who is smiling and praying at the group, but behind him are some soldiers talking to each other and looking at Brixton. One is a halfling male and the other is a elf woman. They look at Brixton with disdain. Matt spends a fear and they notice Idol looking at them and they fall back into the crowd. The civilians push closer to the party, asking Brixton to give them blessings and food. Idol pushes them back and says that they'll be able to have their time with her later. He's then suddenly hit with an apple on the chest. He can't see where it came from. Misty starts to play a song to relax everybody, especially, even healing the party a little bit. She makes an illusion of a violin to make it look like she's playing it. Instead of the music coming from her body itself, she's making it look like the violin is making the music. People begin to perk up to the music. People are drawn in by the music, which people haven't heard in a long time. Misty asks for the people to give them some time to relax. Children surround her, maybe hearing music for the first time in their lives. Soldiers suddenly return. There's a fawn woman wearing similar armor to what Brixton is currently wearing. She is Commander Kieran. She tells the people that they are guests of the council and that they will find solace, recovery, and should they have the means, they'll be able to trade for materials. She notes that they can't stay and live here, but they can stay here and rest before moving on to wherever they're going next. The party say that they can trade and they won't be here very long. She leads them deeper into the Athenium. As they walk, Brixton feels the many hands of the people touching her as she moves. Kieran claps her hands and the hands are suddenly pulled away from her. She says, "Do not mistake appearances with miracles." The people give the party some space after that, and they are led into the heart of the community. The school has been transformed into a village. Each classroom and each hallway have been turned into small homesteads, shops, alleys. Homes are built all the way up into the ceiling. There are farmsteads in the courtyards. This is a self-sustained community, and it's clear why it's so heavily guarded. The party now have a chance to rest up. Brixton notes that the gardens around them, and asks if it's what Alina's gardens were like in Okris. Snyx says that hers are hers are smaller and much more humble, but yes, they have the same beauty to them. Brixton is happy for the life that she is living. Snyx asks what they're going to do next and what they're going to do with August. They're suddenly led to a chamber that is used as a hold sometimes, but it's a good space for them to rest up. The party have the walk of the first floor of the Athenium, but not any more of it. They can't go any higher. They lay August out and take his items off of him, and they wrap him up in a sleeping bag. They go through their stuff to find anything that they can use for trade. They think about going the criminal route, as it'll be worthwhile for them to get better stuff. But if they get caught, their time here will probably be cut short. They choose to go the criminal route, as Idol has advantage in doing so. Idol will helm the search. He walks through the crowd. Some people are watching him as he's a new face, but eventually he's able to find someone who might look a little seedy. He sees a dwarven woman with a bit of a beard and really nice rings on her hand, which seems a little bit more, expensive than everything else she's wearing. And she seems to be cased in the area. Idol stands next to her and looks to see if anyone's watching. He sees no one, and it seems like he can, talk freely with this person. He tells her that this place is incredible. She notes that he is a new face. Idol says that he is, but he will be gone soon, and he notes her rings. She asks if he has found anything good on the outside. He says yes. She asks what exactly he's looking for, and he says the best that this place can offer. He wants to stack the deck in his favor. She notes that he can earn his way quick in this place with the right stuff, and asks if he's trustworthy. He says to a fault. Idol then rolls a presence roll with advantage. He added his experience to it, called reading between the lines, because he was able to sort of read this person, was on the, for the most part, kind of poor looking clothes, but then on the, the hand is very expensive rings, meaning that for the people looking for the right stuff, they'll notice her. He rolls a 17 with hope. She looks at him and then licks her finger and circles it in the air. Suddenly, 6 other figures who were watching this conversation scatter. She tells him to follow her, and she leads them to her stuff. For the sake of skipping over things, we're not going to worry about it too much. They're trading the crown that they got in episode 1 to get at some other stuff. Matt hands them a bunch of stuff that they can sort of trade up for. There's tier 2 weapons on this list. Brixton gets an improved greatsword. She also wants some information about the armor she's wearing, and she learns that it was a high guard armor of the Amber Reach, and whoever wore it was likely working near or under the God King. She also learns about the Astro Foundry. It's a dark place, and it has been dark since the apostasy, but it's a landmark that they can just go past. They don't have to go in. They learn of the wilds and that they're called the Aurora Whelmed. I think that's how it was pronounced. The Aurum Weld. It was the Aurum Weld. That was it. At first, it has a strong druidic history. A powerful nature spirit lived there, and it had many druids working under them to keep nature in check. But since the apostasy, the Union has gone, and the woods there are now cursed, and it's believed that spirit still wanders. Some have claimed they see something large moving through the woods there. This is a location that they have to go in, so they kind of have to deal with whatever that is. They also ask about a safer way around the Cinnabar Quarter, and they learn that it's either safest to go around the wall of the entire city, or if it's just faster to go just straight through as fast as possible to avoid the Damask Queens. They learn of 2 queens to avoid specifically: Yuri of the Emerald Crown, a duelist, and a showman who likes to talk and to show their cruelty. We also know that is the one that Adelia lost her family to. The other is Farah of the Ruby Crown, a bold, eccentric dominatrix of a captain, and her sadism knows no bounds, and she likes the slow challenge of stretching out torture. Great. They also get 2 health potions, 3 stamina potions. They get what is known as Varic leaves pouches, which is very rare bay leaves that are used for rituals to keep the guards spry and ready. It seems like it gives them hope. They get a piece of a crystal that glows when shaken. It's an arcane shard and can be thrown at people for big damage. Snyx takes better armor and gets a better boomerang. Brixton takes a returning axe for flying creatures if need be. Idol asks the dwarf woman to keep an eye out for them, and he wants her to have someone listening out for anyone talking about the party, and on their way back through, he'll repay that kindness. She gives him a guard watching out for them. He's an old man with tons of weapons underneath his clothing sort of hidden away. He's very muscular. He walks with a limp, but is always around and ready to fight. He grins at the party, and his toothless smile sort of keeps watch over them. They are told that there is a space for August. They are brought down into a small part of the catacombs with small plaques on certain burial sites for the buried and the lost here. They're given a space for August. Missy removes the bits of him that were put on him by the Queen Mother of the Hive. She takes the moth off of him and the other bits to make him look more like himself again. Brixton takes some of the soot off her armor and then marks his forehead. She says that this is also for Adelia, and says she gives a blessing to Screeve as well, wherever he is. She says that they will always be remembered. Many don't know their names, but their efforts will be felt for generations to come. Snyx says that she's good at this, and the others agree. Brixton says that she's heard many ramblings from other pirate keepers in the past. Snyx says that The gods may be smiling on her after all. Idol suggests eating and drinking before they get on their way. The gravedigger says that death is but a door, to suffer is the journey of the enduring. They are the enduring, and we will do what we must to endure. The party say to the enduring, and another gravedigger approaches them and gives them some wine. She asks Brixton to save her brother, who is ill. Brixton doesn't want to take it, but the woman insists, and she goes to walk away. Idol says that he'll deal with it and make up some sort of lie as to why the potion helped them. He runs after the girl and she takes him to her brother. Idol tells her that Brixton gave her a potion that will help him. The girl takes Idol to the boy in a tent. Idol tells her to close the flap of the tent and leave him alone with the boy. He goes over to the boy and pours water in his mouth from an empty potion bottle. Or was emptied from a potion, is now filled with water. But then he places his hand on the boy's forehead and uses sparing touch. A glow comes from the boy and his cough goes away. He asks Idol how, and Idol says the potion did it. Idol tells the boy to help others out when he can. Idol goes to leave and the boy suddenly grabs his arm. The boy is now sitting up and says, "The void will take you. Faceless. The darkness will swallow you all. She is not to be breached. The angels will consume all you can see, and you will be darkness." The boy then suddenly passes out, and the session ends here. And there you have it, episode 6 of The Age of Umbra. I am upset after this one. Obviously, Adelia was my favorite character, so that is a crushing blow for me. And the fact that Screeve is seemingly away from the party currently is not a great thing either. It reduces their numbers from the initial 5 that they had to 4. So hopefully Screeve comes around. I understand that, he might be a little pissed at Snyx for destroying the body of Adelia, but he also saved her from the soul blight. So who knows? Maybe he'll come around. We shall see. I don't want to say too much because I do want to kind of talk about this episode on the Tuesday video. So I'm going to do that. And yeah, overall, I thought this was a great episode. The combat was interesting. And I like the idea of this like Celius Athenium. I think it's really cool. The visuals that it sort of brings makes me kind of want to see the Age of Umbra get an animated series. If that sounds like weird, because it is like, a different thing than what they've had before, but I do kind of think that this would be like a interesting like 4-episode miniseries where they could cut out a lot of the fat from whatever they're doing here and then just have like 4 1-hour long episodes. I think that would be really cool to have like a series like that for them, because I feel like there's so much like cool imagery in this. So who knows? Maybe they'd have to do more than 4. Maybe it could be like 6 1-hour long episodes. But I really do think that like Prime should like capitalize on this, because it is a fascinating like story that's being told and really interesting visuals. So who knows? Not to mention, I feel like as far as like animated series stuff goes, this would really like stick out compared to a lot of their other stuff. Yes, they do have like the Vox Machina stuff, which does sort of cover fantasy, but this is like grimdark fantasy, and I feel like this would be really interesting and like pull in some people from other stuff too. So I don't know, maybe they should animate this, because I think it'd be really cool if they did, but we'll see. Anyway, that's the recap for episode 6 of The Age of Umbra, and I will see you guys on Tuesday when I give more thoughts on certain events that happened in this episode. Peace.